couldn't believe when I first found out how much insurance companies actually look at social media profiles as well.
The day you open the claim, they're looking at your social media. You know, you can laugh about it, but I really do believe that injury lawyers keep society safe, even if it's one trip and fall case at a time. I've had Latin clients ask me, what's your religion? Jewish. Oh, I was told my lawyer's supposed to be Jewish.
It's a good selling point for you.
I don't use it. I've seen lawyers in Miami, one in particular, does it on his Instagram. I think he's a tacky douchebag, and if he's listening to this, I think it's terrible. Like, that's totally distasteful.
Time for the tequila?
Actually, yeah, I think so, yeah. Did you bring any ice?
Welcome back to Live Laugh Lawsuit. We're actually filming live today from Hona's Disrupt Legal Summit. And we have with us today Eric Mausner of Mausner Graham Injury Law. He flew in from Miami. Thanks for being here with us today, Eric.
Thanks for having me. Got in late last night.
You said you were running on a couple of hours of sleep?
I think I got in around 1 from the airport. Got a few hours of sleep, but I'm ready to go. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Pretty typical in the legal industry to be running on a few hours, isn't it?
Yeah, at this point, we're used to it.
Well, I wanted to start off by talking about one of the most interesting things about your journey into becoming a personal injury attorney. And you actually started off as a prosecutor. Tell me a little bit more about why you decided to switch gears.
I started my career as a prosecutor. I ended up getting a job at the Manhattan District Attorney as a paralegal. That was right after college. And that began the journey to becoming a prosecutor, which is not easy to do. They're competitive jobs. They're great jobs. It's an ultimate public service job. You're fighting crime. You get to help victims. You're in court every day.
Yeah.
You get a lot of trial experience. So I started my career that way. And then after 3 years as being a prosecutor at the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office, I knew I wanted to be an injury lawyer at that point. I said it was time to get out of government. Let's go PI. I liked it for a number of reasons.
How did you know? You sound so certain, and I love that. But what were some of the indicators? How are you so concrete on how you knew?
You know, I remember sitting around the state attorney's office with a couple buddies at the time, fellow prosecutors, and we're like, what is next? Do we try to go to big law? Do we go to other government jobs? Do we try to go to mid-sized firms, small firms? Like, what area of law? We actually were looking at lists of areas of law. And we had already been lawyers for, 3+ years at that point. But you're still a baby lawyer. So we're like, what's next? And the only option that I thought made the most sense for me, and my friends at the time agreed as well, because they ended up becoming injury lawyers, was plaintiff PI work. It's entrepreneurial. You get to help people. There's no billables. Okay, most lawyers are billing.
Yeah.
Personal injury lawyers are on contingency. It's a wonderful way to work with clients.
Makes you more accessible.
You get to help people, no billables, and there's significant financial upside.
What were some of the hurdles that you first found when you were transitioning?
I'd been in criminal law for 7+ years, so I was basically a law student when I started over. And
wow.
so, from discovery rules to handling clients to medical records to civil procedure, it's a pretty steep learning curve initially as a personal injury lawyer. You see PI everywhere. It's smacked on every billboard, and it has negative connotations because of the mass advertising, but it's real trial work, it's a real job, and it's a wonderful way to help people.
Something I found really interesting about your firm as well is how specialized you are as a boutique firm, especially being in Florida. Did you find that there were a lot of learning curves there as well with each area that you branched out to with your firm?
Yeah, so our firm does exclusively injury work, and within personal injury, it's auto, premises, maritime, sex assault, and negligent security. It's those 5 areas. We do take all kinds of maritime cases, cruise ship injuries, yacht injuries. We have injuries on yachts, jet skis. We had a parasailing case recently. Someone got hurt.
Crazy.
But any injury on the water, we look at it. And it is a niche. It's a subspecialty. And you definitely only want to be with a firm that handles maritime cases on the regular.
Is that something that you enjoy? Do you enjoy arguing and litigation in general still, or do you prefer to settle most of your cases?
Well, 98% of cases settle, right? At the end of the day, you want to get your client a result. But we do litigate. My partners handle the litigation, and we prepare our cases for trial. We are going to trial actually this month on a case I can tell you about. But the goal is to get a result. If we have to try the case, we'll try the case. But remember, it could take 4 or 5 years plus appeal, lots of delays to get the client paid. And the goal is to get we want satisfied clients, right?
Absolutely. So that actually segues into our next kind of segment. And it's your law firm really prides itself on setting client expectations, communicating. It's the number one bar complaint is lack of communication. What are some of of the methods that you've used to really make sure that you're setting those client expectations?
Of course, we use awesome technology like Hona, and we use Smart Advocate to help us with automations and updates. So the first part to that question is use technology to keep the clients updated, and so they have a way of communicating with your team. Technology is also going to reduce the call volume to both you and your law office. So clients deserve updates. They should get updates. But from the beginning, when a client comes into the firm, it's really a customer service experience. So from intake to the case managers to the lawyers, like everybody needs to be in sync. I personally think every client that comes to your firm has to meet with a lawyer. And you hear this problem at larger firms, some of the massive size advertisers, clients will say, no one ever called me back. I never met a lawyer. I don't know what's going on in my case. We'll get those cases and they're just super happy to talk to a lawyer. Like,
oh, yeah.
They don't even care. They're like, oh, you're a lawyer and you're giving me the time of the day. Where do I sign? Every client that comes into my firm, I meet, or one of my partners will meet.
That's just a company-wide policy.
I love that. Every client I have to meet on Zoom. If they want to come into the office or if I'm driving to their home, sometimes we meet clients in the hospital, of course. We meet clients in all settings, or their family in the case where someone passes away or is unfortunately killed in a wrongful death case. But every client should meet a lawyer. What
are some of the methods that you use to help explain those in ways that are a little bit more customer-facing friendly?
So every case boils down to liability, injuries, and insurance, AKA recovery. Every case that I mentioned before, right, boils down to who's at fault, what are the injuries, and how are we recovering money. Sometimes liability is clear, right? You got rear-ended. We know who's at fault. Other times, multiple parties are at fault. Damages and injuries, right? How we prove that? Medical records, bills, past meds, future meds. What about the non-economics, which are the pain and suffering, mental anguish, disfigurement, disability, right? So, and then of course, we always tell clients, we have to, especially like let's say in car crash cases, you're generally going to be limited to the insurance policies. Sometimes you can chase an individual. Sometimes you can get them to kick in personal dollars. It's rare. It depends. If you get hit by somebody who's wealthy, who's underinsured. So usually you're recovering money from an insurance company or a self-insured corporation, right? So those three components: who's at fault, what are the injuries, and how does it affect your life, and where are we recovering money?
How do you explain it to clients, and what advice would you give for other law firms that are looking to really explain what they need, what to do properly to their clients who are just starting out with them?
From the get-go, like I said, every client needs to meet a lawyer. So if your client is talking to your paralegal, your case manager, or your intaker, you need to have an initial consult with the client, of course. Whether this case is going to pre-litigation or litigation, whatever it is, meet the client and figure out the strategy and the game plan, assist with the medical management, set expectations. For example, in Florida, the average pre-litigation file could be 8-9 months. The average litigation case could be 18 months, right? Maybe longer, much longer.
Yeah.
I explain all this at the outset to the client, and I'll weave this high overview into the facts of their case. And then we also need to know insurance coverage, right? We need to figure out if it's a slip and fall. We need to figure out liability. What kind of evidence do we have? So I explain it all at the outset. And a lot of times this will happen not just on one call. This will happen over a series of calls during the pre-litigation process, during the treatment phase, and well into litigation. But I always want my clients to understand where they are in the case, what the upside is, what the downside is, and what they need to be doing, right? And what they shouldn't be doing, like posting on Instagram or screwing their case up on TikTok.
That's always the one that gets them, isn't it?
Which that happens all the time.
I couldn't believe when I first found out how much insurance companies actually look at social media profiles as well.
The day you open the claim, they're looking at your social media. I make clients sign a social media warning form.
Wow.
After you sign a representation agreement and related documents, there's a social media warning that says stay off social media and/or all settings on private.
Would you ever fire a client if they were posting to social media against your advice?
If it kills their case, we'll have to withdraw. I mean, also then there's the issue of fraud, right?
Of course.
Lingering, faking it. So if a client says, pick an injury, back injury, I can't play basketball anymore. And then they're posting videos of themselves playing basketball, right? Stuff like this really happens.
Yeah.
So
all the time.
In a situation like that where your client's caught lying or lying in deposition, you're forced you'll be forced to withdraw.
Have you personally had a client that you've caught lying before?
Of course.
Yeah, that's got to be an awkward conversation to have.
More than one.
Interesting. What would you say the ratio would be percentage-wise?
It's not often, but especially if you're dealing with volume, you're going to see it more, obviously. But I think every personal injury lawyer who's been doing this for years has run into this problem. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
And it's more common now, especially your younger clients too. I even tell the older clients stay off social media, and the response is, I don't have social media.
Yeah. And then in terms of, I'm curious as well, because I love your personalized approach. I think that is one of the strengths that we see with smaller firms. But then in terms of scaling up, how do you balance the increased volume with keeping that personal touch with your clients?
More staff, more people, hiring, processes, and of course, the technology really does help.
Yeah, you use Hona, our case management system.
Yeah, so we took Hona a step further and we recorded our videos. But rather than it just being an AI video, it's us explaining the video. Not AI, but it's me or my law partner actually giving updates to the clients and video and recordings. I think those automatic updates are really helpful. I think clients appreciate it.
And I like it's been interesting to see how different firms have customized Hona and incorporated, using their own brands. I think when you have the staff to help implement the case management software and do it the right way, like you're doing, you can take it a step even further. I think for your clients, being able to see your face and then also getting to talk to you then later, that's got to be so impactful for them, because the cases that they're going through are devastating, life-changing cases.
I think so. I think they all appreciate it too. And the clients appreciate the personal touch. It's like I always think like it's like going to the doctor. Everyone's been to the primary care doctor and specialist, and everyone kind of knows what that experience is like. And that can feel kind of alienating at times, right? You go to a doctor's office, they're hard to respond to. It's hard to get an appointment.
You're wandering around clueless.
Yeah, the doctor gives you 2 minutes of their time after so I try to use that. How would a client or a customer feel when they come to our firm? And to be honest, we haven't perfected this yet. We're still working on this. We're hiring. We are coming up with new ideas. We're stealing ideas from more established firms. One idea is when a client comes to the firm, send them a swag box, like an intro. So we're gonna probably roll that out. So when a client does come to the firm, they also get a package in the mail with with a coffee mug or a sunglass cleaner or pens or whatever swag item we have at the moment.
Yeah, I think the more touch points, and we've seen this as well, the more touch points you can have with a customer, the more they feel cared for and valued. So even if they're only meeting with you maybe once a month, once every couple of months, they still have 20 to 40 other touch points with you in between then.
And that's where the technology and good staff can help alleviate the lawyers. And that's how it should work, right?
Do you have any advice for law firms looking to hire staff? What should they be looking for to be the most efficient? You
have to have your intake under control. So if you're marketing, you have to have intake. I think even if you're not marketing and you're getting busier and you're growing by referral only, you should still have somebody up front screening your cases. And you should know what that process looks like. So for example, a new case comes into the firm. Does it go into your case management system, right? When does this case manager step in? Who's opening the claims? There's a lot of little processes and steps that can get messed up along the way. And you've got to manage this stuff and perfect it to the best you can. It's intake's like a living, breathing animal that just requires management.
And how are you monitoring to improve that? What are some of the tools that you use?
So we put our entire firm through a customer service training, actually.
That's amazing.
All of our employees have to go through this 12-course training about empathy, how to speak to clients, how to answer the phone. So you got customer service training you need technology like Smart Advocate and Hona. You need Slack or Teams. You need an internal channel to make everybody efficient. You think you need to be tracking all your data. All this information needs to go into your CRM as well, which we haven't talked about. So in addition to your case management system, you've got to have your client relationship management tool to track data, and then you can keep track of your clients, send them email blasts and so forth, and stay in touch. There's a lot of little things to do.
Yeah, that must have been really overwhelming starting up your own law firm. Did you find anything was particularly overwhelming?
All of it.
All of it. Honestly, yeah. Time for the tequila?
Actually, yeah, I think so, yeah. All right, so now this podcast should really get going now that we have the tequila going here.
Honestly, it should be very interesting. I'm excited because we have a segment coming up towards the end that I think the tequila will help with. So let's talk a little bit about marketing and a little bit about social media. Your firm is is pretty well known for some of its more unique marketing and really taking an aggressive approach at social media compared to a lot of other law firms. When you first started out, what helped you decide where to focus your marketing efforts?
I would say our social media is a work in progress, but I appreciate how you worded that question. There's a lot of law firms out there that I think are killing social media with thousands and hundreds of thousands of followers. For us, we hired a really good videographer, and it was, content is king now. So we just said, screw it, let's just do it. And that's what we've been doing the last couple of years. And it's building. So like to the law firm owner that I think you said earlier, who hasn't started this at all, it's like, you just have to do it. Close your eyes, embrace the suck.
Yes.
It's going to suck. It's going to be awful. It's uncomfortable, but just do it and put out content and be consistent and come up with a plan.
And it's a learning process as well, right? Like you see what works over time, you see what resonates with people, you get a clear understanding of what your firm's voice should be as well.
Oh yeah. And we're still finding our voice. We're still finding our brand. We are considering changing up our videos as we speak now. We've been talking about, different, maybe less professional videos, more casual. We have to switch it up. You constantly have to be switching this up. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And they're all different. They all require different management, different kinds of videos, different styles. And frankly, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, it's a lot. And starting off, you obviously really only have the bandwidth to hire one social media manager, maybe one videographer, but with all these different platforms, like you said, they're also different. Do you have one that you focus on more so than the other ones?
So we just hired a new company actually, and they're going to be focusing on LinkedIn.
Amazing.
We haven't utilized that properly, and I think we can. It's untapped for us, but I see a lot of lawyers doing really good things on LinkedIn. And one of the best ways to get referrals is from other lawyers. High quality referrals. So LinkedIn's a big tool for that. We're focusing on Instagram and YouTube as well, because YouTube's connected to Google, which is one of the largest search engines, as we all know. So YouTube's also a focus. But I have a marketing assistant, we have a marketing director, we have a videographer part-time, and we have a new company that's actually managing all things Google, also helping with relationship and grassroots marketing. So it's a whole platform. Very established PI firms can have as many as 10 to 15 people in their marketing department or more. And I'm not talking about the Morgan & Morgan,
the big wigs,
the mammoths out there, but 100-person law firms can have a 10-person marketing department.
Easily, yeah. And so how far along in your firm's journey did you decide to really start focusing on social media? You said it was a little bit more recently, but how many years in?
I hung my own shingle 8 years ago, and then I partnered up 4 years ago. So probably around the time I partnered up with Tom Graham, we knew it was time to push the business forward, and we had to focus on marketing.
Did you start with social media? What did you start with? And what brought you to the conclusion to start with that area?
We started doing content. It was social media, and it was also Google SEO. And this is back like pandemic time, and now everything's changing on Google every second with LSA and AI. But I think the focus should be for any firm right now is Google and social media, right? You have to be focused on Google LSA and your Google presence and your geographic presence and Google reviews. And then you have to supplement that with regular action on all 5 social media platforms. Mix in your email blast. You have to do everything now.
You do, because that's what customers expect, right? Touch points on everything, getting listed in directories and SEO. It's all nonstop and so crucial to being discovered as a law firm.
Yeah, I find that a lot of clients that come off of Google, they're looking at reviews. They're also over on our Instagram too. And they'll check us out on multiple platforms.
Have you ever invested in the classic billboard, the personal injury billboard?
I have not done anything conventional yet. Perhaps we'll grow into it, but billboards, TV, radio, bus stops, buses, I have not touched. And I know a lot of successful law firms out there that don't touch it at all.
Yeah. It's interesting that it's becoming less and less prominent when that used to be the go-to. And I think what's nice about digital is that it's easier to measure. Do you find that your firm really prioritizes measuring the success of your campaigns? And what does that process look like, if so?
We measured the spends. We've done paid ads on social media. And to be frank, we didn't have success. The paid ads on social media are like digital billboards.
Yes.
It's good for branding. There are lead gen companies, perhaps law firms out there that are spending significant money on Facebook and Instagram. But it's a lot of trash.
It's steep competition, which just makes every conversion so much more expensive, right? Every lead so much more expensive.
Right. And even the TV, radio, billboard world, that's totally congested and clogged as well. So I think by focusing on digital components of marketing is critical for the 21st century law firm. You have to be doing everything, but digital is important now. Digital, everyone's glued to their phone.
Yes.
Everyone's glued to their phone, right?
Have you heard much feedback from clients who are coming from social? Have you seen any results from that you know of, or is it more so just part of their educating process and decision-making process?
I think it's more the education, the trust component. A lot of it, we have more success with Google. I think that's the case for most firms. Unless you have, I know lawyers that have, 100,000 plus followers on Instagram. And I think they're probably getting hits from that at that size.
Yeah.
But the social media is crucial for just, I think, the trust and the clients to verify.
Absolutely. And I think the difference too, as well with, Google is there's that intent there, right? Someone's been in an accident. That's why they're searching up those key terms. Whereas social media, you're kind of just hoping someone who's gone through that is thinking of you. So instead, building that awareness is pretty important.
Exactly. Yeah. So you want direct hits off of Google for someone who needs a lawyer now, right? So personal injury cases, that's exactly what that's for. To contrast that with something like mass torts, you can have a lot more success on social media because you're bringing awareness to people who don't realize that drug or that product caused cancer or caused that injury or disease, right? So it's a different kind of marketing, different clientele, different case, everything. So
yeah, I probably get about 10 of those "have you been assaulted by an Uber or Lyft driver" ads a month on Instagram. Probably like at least 10. It's crazy.
Yeah, they follow you around.
They do. They listen too. Do you ever notice that with your phone? It kind of listens. You talk about something and then it pops up.
All the time.
Yeah. It's spooky, but
how do we turn that off?
Honestly, I'm in marketing and I don't even know. I guess we just have to deal with it.
We'll ask ChatGPT after this.
Yeah. For real. And then you actually had a social media video go pretty viral, right? Do you want to tell me a little bit more about that?
We did. So we represented 6 out of 21 victims in a boat collision in Miami, the Thriller boat collision, which I think a lot of people know.
Yeah.
Anyone who visits Miami, or not anyone, but tourists go on this boat, and anybody who lives in Miami has seen this speedboat. It comes in a couple colors. It has a big jet behind it, water spraying in the air. It's super fast. It's loud. Yeah. And this boat had a collision with a charter boat. So we represented victims in the Thriller case. It was a terrible incident, and our victims were seriously hurt. We felt terrible for them, but we were able to get a good result. One of our clients got out of the hospital and she checked her Instagram drafts. And in that drafts was the actual selfie video that recorded the whole collision.
Oh my gosh.
It's on my Instagram, pinned to the top. You can check it.
I am 100% going to check it. Everyone should check it.
MG.
We'll be linking it in the description for sure.
MG Injury Firm. So we get this video and we're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That is awful. And the first thought was like, is she alive? Yes, she's alive. Thank God. She suffered serious injuries though. We looked at the video and I said to the client, I said, well, look, we need to use this. This is evidence for your case. And can I have your permission to put it on my Instagram?
Yeah.
So she gave me written permission. So I covered myself. I wanted to make sure. She actually, turns out she put it on her own Instagram. Hats off to my marketing manager at the time. She put our logo watermark on the video. So we posted it. 10 years ago, I was in my neighborhood in Miami, and I met a Channel 10 news reporter, and we exchanged Instagrams. And I had a Channel 10 news reporter following my work account. So she sees this video, and I think she goes, oh shit. She reaches out, and then it just shoots to like local station. It went from Channel 10 to Channel 7 to Channel 6 to Telemundo. It hit everything local, and then the Miami Herald picked it up. Once the Miami Herald got it, then it shot everywhere. National. So Fox, New York Post, News Nation, People Magazine. I mean, this thing shot off.
That's insane.
So I had never had a video go viral, personal and professional, and I don't think most people have. Every day we would wake up and there would be a new news reporter in our general email inbox. Hey, can we get a statement? What happened? Tell us what happened. I think as a result of that, we got about 20 articles, 3 or 4 video interviews, 4 or 5 backlinks for SEO. It went, I think, 4 or 5 million views on our Instagram account. And then Fox and I forgot to mention CNN got it.
Wow.
Fox,
oh my gosh.
CNN, and Qualified Captain, which is like a boating Instagram page, that all got millions of views. So all in, we tracked it. I think all in, it was like 12 to 15 million views and went totally viral.
That's insane.
You could pull out your phone right after this.
We'll actually put a clip of it up on this podcast.
But let me just say,
video.
Let me just say, it's not lost on me. this is a serious incident.
Of
It was
course.
awful. You know, you don't want these things to happen. We're here to help when they do. We took this as a boater safety awareness type issue. Let's put it out there to represent, you know, it was a good piece of evidence for the victims at the end of the day. And it served its purpose. It wasn't about our firm going viral or us getting attention. It was about the victims. It's about them getting justice. And I think with that video, the other side was just like, you know, it was just a matter of here's all of our insurance and let's settle this.
Yeah. And I think it's nice as well too, right? Because there's so much stigma around personal injury and frivolous lawsuits, right? You look at the infamous McDonald's one, the victim actually had serious burns. I think she had to get skin grafted on. So I think being able to show off that video is really great to show how impactful the case actually was. And interesting that you got to incorporate that as part of the case where normally social media hinders the case.
Yeah, look, like any other field, right? There's good lawyers, good doctors, bad doctors. You know, it's the same with personal injury. There's tons of really, really skilled, amazing personal injury lawyers, and I think personal injury lawyers really they keep our society safe. And you know, you can laugh about it, but I really do believe that injury lawyers keep society safe, even if it's one trip and fall case at a time.
Yeah,
everyone has a duty of safety. You have a duty of care. Whether you're driving or you own property or you're driving a boat, right? You have to be safe. And if you hurt somebody, you know, you need to be held accountable. And that's what tort law is. That's what personal injury is. You know, advanced civilized societies hold each other accountable when shit goes wrong, right? PI lawyers get a bad rep out there at times, but I think people that are educated, sophisticated, they understand. The court system's there to vet out fraudulent cases. The liars and the cheaters get caught often. So I think the court system's there in place for checks and balances when it comes to, you know, fraudulent PI cases. But I always think about John Morgan. He writes about in one of his books, Can't Teach Vision or You Can't Teach Hungry, where it's like amusing that PI lawyers get a bad rep. You know, the ambulance chasing connotation. Because at the end of the day, PI lawyers were really there to help people.
Yeah.
And you help people who are injured because somebody else was negligent. And these people can't afford a lawyer often. And you're giving them access to the civil justice system. Nobody likes lawyers until you need one, right? They say.
Yep.
So PI lawyers really do keep the community safe. They keep corporate America in check, insurance companies in check. It's the pendulum swings both ways, you know, back and forth with Republicans and Democrats. But PI lawyers are there to hold, I think, corporate America in check and represent the little guy.
Yeah, I think that's such a relevant point, especially with all the tort reform going on, right? Like the insurance companies are kind of spinning it as to stop these frivolous lawsuits. But something I really enjoy about what your firm is doing on social media is you're educating about the responsibilities that a lot of businesses and a lot of individuals have to keep things safe. You know, if you're doing temporary construction, you had a video on that, having a sign to alert people that cars are going to come around that corner fast, that can make the difference between someone's life being destroyed and someone's life not being destroyed. So I think what you're doing on social media right now, educating and informing consumers and businesses, is really important work and kind of just demonstrates how much you care.
Yeah, you have to get the word out, and people need to know how to handle these situations. They need to know how to avoid these situations. One of the things we always like to talk about is insurance. People don't quite understand how important insurance is, whether it's auto insurance or property insurance, right? You have to have coverage for yourself. So
uninsured motorists, I know that.
There you
Absolutely.
go. Look, a lot of personal injury lawyers do that post, but that will never get old.
Never.
Like, because we see clients all the time. They've been in car crashes and they don't have the right kind of insurance. And then it becomes a learning experience for them.
You know, it's so crazy. I never had uninsured motor insurance before working at Hona, and now delving into personal injury and a lot of the different legal spheres that we delve into and help. And now I'm switching my insurance because I didn't realize how significant that could actually be, because a lot of law firms like yours are actually putting out that information on how important it is, because no one teaches you these things, right? Like
it doesn't matter who you are, how educated you are. People don't know it. It's
you don't realize until it's too late.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your advisors in life should tell you this. In theory, your financial advisor should tell you. Your insurance agent should tell you. Your lawyers should tell you, right? But it's just not something that comes up until it's too late. And I see all kinds of people with the wrong insurance, sophisticated, wealthy people buying the wrong insurance. So it's kind of an interesting phenomenon. You would think we'd find a way to solve this somehow, but it's a free market. You can buy whatever you want.
Yeah.
So.
Crazy.
When shit happens, you got to deal with those consequences.
I'm curious, what kind of insurance do you have, if you don't mind sharing?
I have auto. I have an umbrella. I have homeowners. I have cybersecurity, health insurance. I have malpractice insurance. I even have general liability insurance in the office. So I don't know, is that 5 to 10 insurance policies there?
Yeah.
But for auto, you have to have both uninsured motorists and you have to have bodily injury. And then on top of that, you should have an umbrella. How much? It's not going to call it a personal question, but how much do you want to spend on insurance? So if you can afford a monthly premium or every 6 months, you should have at least 100 to 200. I would say at least 100 to $250,000 of UM or BI with an umbrella on top of that, in case you get hit by somebody who has no insurance or their policy expired, has insufficient insurance, and there's no coverage from the at-fault party, whoever it is. You're at least covered on your own.
A lot of insurance, but definitely worth it. I'm sure you've learned from your field of work. I guess that moves me to kind of our next segment. How do you keep the human touch, similar to the medical field that you referenced earlier, right? You're seeing so many of these awful cases that are just devastating, heartbreaking. Even as a prosecutor, you tried a lot of really, hard cases, emotional. How do you maintain empathy for these people? Do you feel like you get numb to it, or do you feel like you almost need to sometimes put your empathy to the side a little bit to properly manage these cases? What's your approach?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I think if you're truly passionate about this, you always have to be empathetic with your clients. Maybe it comes natural. Maybe you have to be more deliberate and conscious about it. But for me, you feel it. Some of these cases are absolutely heartbreaking. You get to help people and families pick up the pieces here and try to help them get justice, financial justice. But there are times, as a lawyer, you have to give your clients the good news and the bad news. You have to evaluate the case. So you have to keep some emotion out of it for sure. Sometimes actually having law partners is almost good, because sometimes you can calm each other down a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone gets too invested in a case. So having a law firm, having good partners too, can also help you stay on track. I've noticed that once in a while, someone gets overly invested in a case. If you're so invested in a case, you might not be able to evaluate it or see clearly.
Hard to be objective.
So, yeah, exactly. But I always tell clients, look, I'm your lawyer. I have to be honest with you. Here's the pros. Here's the cons, right?
Yeah. And what advice would you give to other, younger, small law firms who are starting out on how to balance that empathy, and also being objective?
I think it comes with experience. I came up as a prosecutor, which means you saw blood, guts, and gore and horrible stuff. So does that desensitize you somewhat? Probably. But, you see the carnage on the news and the same stuff is still equally disturbing. It's tough. I think it comes with experience, all this. But coming up as a prosecutor and seeing the criminal world and then moving to the personal injury, there's a lot of overlap. There's a lot of tragedy, but you try to find the good in all of it. And you can, you try to help your clients get answers, ultimately get them a good result.
And at the end of the day, right, that's what you're doing. And
I always tell clients too, actually, there's 2 goals of a personal injury case: get healthy and recover money. So use this as an opportunity. Health is more important than money, right?
Absolutely. I
say that to clients. It's part of my introduction, actually, at times.
So, yeah, because you can't buy health, right?
No. And would you rather be back in your pre-accident state at all? What does that cost? What's that worth? I have a client actually who lost his arm in a horrible car crash. And that's someone we have to manage. Being a lawyer, there's a psychological component to this too, right?
Yeah.
Dealing with people and emotions, keeping things in perspective.
And how do you balance that with yourself, your own mental health, right? How do you make sure you're still prioritizing yourself with your crazy workload, crazy travel schedule that just comes along with the territory?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, actually. This is a big topic in law and a lot of professions, but law is, if you start your own law firm, it's going to consume you.
Because not only are you an entrepreneur, but you're also a lawyer on top of it. So
you're CEO, you're businessman / lawyer. People, and that's the thing, when you start your own law practice, you don't realize that. When you go solo, you break off from a law firm, or if you're one of those crazies who starts your own law firm at a law school, which there's plenty of them, maybe they're listening. Yeah, you don't realize that you're probably a businessman first. And then you have to figure out, what your vision is, what you want, and what hats do you like wearing, what you don't like wearing. And that's been the process with me and my partner the last few years, I would say. Like, what do you like to do? What do I like to do? And you got to channel that.
How did you find each other as partners? And was there, a bit of a buffer period where you were adjusting to each other's working styles?
We were prosecutors together. In fact,
wow.
So my law firm is 16 people. There's 3 lawyers. Started with just me 8 years ago. So we're growing. Partnership is growing. It's been fun. It's been challenging. Both my partners are former prosecutors too. We all have that experience of from the courtroom and handling a lot of cases and seeing a lot as young attorneys. So Tom and I, we probably met 13 years ago. We both became plaintiffs' lawyers separately.
Wow.
We started working together when he was an associate at another firm, and then we decided to partner up. And my third partner was working for the insurance defense world, and he was on a horrible billing schedule. He wanted to go plaintiff, so I said, come join us. And it just so happens we all came up as prosecutors. And my third partner who just joined, I know him 20 years. We went to college together. So we have a nice relationship. Everybody's known each other a while.
That's so nice. It must help you kind of harmonize, because as a law firm, right, a lot of your branding is you. You are the brand, right? So it might help kind of harmonize all 3 of you into one brand.
Yeah, right now we can say the whole firm is former prosecutors turned personal injury lawyers.
Yeah.
That's for now, but I'm sure we'll diversify as we grow.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And what advice would you have for other entrepreneurs who are looking to start their own law firms to find the balance as much as is possible?
That's going to take discipline, and you're going to have to just be deliberate about turning work off. If you have family, kids, relationships, whatever, you have to turn it off. But look, when you're on your own, you're your own boss. You get to make your own destiny. So, no one's yelling at you. When the day is done, you get to go home and start over. So you have to really find that line between turning work on and off. And frankly, I struggle with that. We're here in Utah doing a podcast on a Monday. I could show you what my inbox looks like right now.
I know you were putting out fires before I came and grabbed you for this podcast. You were literally working.
I give my cell phone out, not to every client, but I give it out to clients if they want it. I'll give it out freely. We have enough tools like Hona, so the clients don't necessarily need to text me directly. It's tough. It's tough. But if you're just starting your practice, hopefully it starts slow and it grows. You kind of grow into these problems, and then you have to learn how to delegate, manage and delegate. And one of the things that I didn't realize first starting out is all the things you can do. It's like you have to first you hang your own shingle, you got to start making money.
Yes.
And then you got to figure out what you can do and afford. And then you have to learn how to reinvest in your business. So one of the first things like I would have done when I started my firm was probably hire virtual assistants.
Is that just to help with some more of the tedious
whether it's ordering medical records or intake or customer service, scheduling matters or legal assistant matters, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, you have to offload some of this stuff as a new business owner. And then, all the experts, all the gurus that we're going to hear about at the conference, all these heroes, legends, and superstars of the courtroom.
Super lawyers.
But all these guys say you got to know what your vision is. And I didn't know what the hell that meant. I'm like, why the fuck are these guys talking about vision and goals and core values and all this stuff? And then after really diving into this stuff the last few years, it's like, it all makes sense now.
I get it.
It's like, if you want to build a business and have a culture, wait a minute, all this stuff matters. Like, you need to know where the train is going, right? Now I'm like, it's like becoming very clear with my law partner, like what he wants, what I want, what we're doing, how do we make this work? And I think a lot of lawyers don't think about that. And you definitely don't think about that as a new business owner.
Did you figure that out through trial and error? Because like you said, you heard about it, but it didn't click until after several years.
This got figured out through hiring business coaches, law firm coaches, and masterminds and conferences and making connect. And you're like, okay, I get it. I see how this is supposed to all fit together. But in the beginning, a new business owner, you're a lawyer, right? And you're starting your own law firm. And with that comes all these hats you need to wear: finance, intake, marketing, HR, facilities, administration, processes. Bookkeeping, right? So you need to find people that don't want to do what you want to do. You can divide and conquer, but you also have to have the right personalities as well that you get along with and that trust.
So how has your perspective changed from being an attorney at a law firm to becoming an owner at a law firm?
I worked at a couple firms before I started my own business. It's wildly different. The stakes are higher. It's your business, it's your name, it's your law license. An associate doesn't necessarily care about the cases the way the owner does, right? So when you make that transition, you can feel it. It's a whole new ballgame. Let's just say if you're an associate or even a non-equity partner at a law firm and you're thinking about, and you've got the entrepreneurial bug, I had the entrepreneurial bug, and I discovered that when I went to private practice, that I wanted financial upside in everything I did. I didn't like being an associate. I didn't like being at the mercy of another man giving me a discretionary bonus. I learned quickly I could bring in business. So if you're at another firm, whether you're an associate or partner, whatever your title is, you're bringing in business, you have the entrepreneurial bug. Once you're out on your own, now it's your name on the door. It's your reputation. So you're going to care probably even more. And that's not to say you didn't care at your previous job, but it's a very different mindset.
The stakes are higher as well, right?
It's 24/7. It's your business. I signed a client on the airplane in the airport last night on the way here, right off Google. My intake had already shut down, which goes to show you I need 24/7 intake. But a case came off of Google LSA and the west coast of Florida. I signed it walking through the airport. Client is actually texting me during this podcast because my intake team is supposed to take over along with my case manager. And now I got some stuff to address when I get back to the office. Yeah, when you're the owner of the business and there's the phone and the phones are ringing or it's a new case, you stop, drop, and roll and you sign that client.
Yeah, there is no turning off.
I'm not kidding. I signed a client in the airport on the plane here last night.
I would honestly think you were doing it on your phone, signing another client just now.
I would if I could.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point to transition to our final segment. This one is the fun one.
Do I need tequila for this?
You might. Okay. Actually, tequila will make it better. So this is kind of our plead the fifth segment.
Okay.
So what happens? I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You have 3 plead the fifths total. Okay. This means you have to legally, well, I guess podcast legally, answer the questions unless you choose to plead the 5th.
All right.
But you only have 3.
Fire away.
Okay. First one. What lawyer stereotype definitely applies to you?
Shit, I don't know. I want to answer that. I could fall back on plead the 5th, but I don't know if I want to blow plead the 5th on this one. Lawyer stereotype. Oh, here. I don't know if this is appropriate. I'm an American Jewish lawyer. Okay. And I live in Miami, Florida. And a lot of Latins and Cubans think their lawyers should be Jewish.
Interesting.
Not even kidding. It's not even like it's talked about openly. I've had Latin clients ask me, what's your religion? Jewish. Oh, I was told my lawyer's supposed to be Jewish.
So it's a good selling point for you.
I don't use it. I've seen lawyers in Miami, one in particular, that does it on his Instagram.
Interesting.
I think he's a tacky douchebag. And if he's listening to this, which he's probably not, I think it's that's totally distasteful. So I don't put that card forward, but clients do use that stereotype.
I would have just said for you that you're a workaholic. I think that's a common lawyer stereotype, but I think yours is so much better.
No, let's talk about racism and stereotypes.
Let's do it. Dive into the deep topic.
Isn't that what you wanted at this part?
Always. But actually kind of leads into who's a PI law firm in Florida that no one should ever go to?
Shit, could I get sued for this?
I mean, you're the lawyer. You tell me.
All right. Well,
you do have 3 plead the 5ths, though. Okay. Some of these are supposed to be difficult for a reason.
No, we can answer this one indirectly.
I love it.
If I'm injured in Florida, there are a handful of big advertisers, 1 or 2 in particular, I wouldn't fucking go near.
I will consider that a half answer. More than I was expecting to get, to be honest. This one we like to ask everyone to see if anyone will answer. What's the most overrated law school in your opinion?
Probably all of them in Florida.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. I don't know how to answer that question, to be honest. Because there's 200 law schools in the country. You want to be at the top one. The top 25 law grads in every class at most schools are getting good jobs and everybody else is fucked. So I don't think it really matters where you go to law school unless you want to be in big law.
Yeah.
You get fancy jobs. Everybody else is thrown into the marketplace and anything goes. You got to work hard regardless.
So would you say then the top 14, the T14 are overrated if you're not trying to go into big law then?
No, I wouldn't call them overrated. Academics matter in law. That's the harsh reality. It's not a guarantee whether you're going to be successful or not. Define success. Is it money? Is it the job? It's different for everybody. But I think by going to a top law school opens up doors. By getting really good grades, the top at the 200 law schools can open up doors. Maybe it might be harder at the back 100. So to sit here and tell you what law school is overrated, I didn't go to a top law school, but I'm doing it on my own. It hasn't stopped me. So
love that.
The academics do matter in the field of law, especially for a lot of the bigger jobs.
Yeah.
More academic jobs.
See, it's hard with lawyers, right? You find ways to avoid using the plead the 5th. You talk around it.
You haven't given me a question yet.
Okay, next one. What's the most frustrating reason for losing a case?
We had a case that we lost because the client was a fraud. And we didn't discover that until we were in trial.
How did you discover it?
He claimed he was permanently paralyzed, but he was on video walking.
Stop.
And had he not done that, we would have been able to recover money because he was paralyzed temporarily.
Yeah.
But he regained his ability to walk. That was a disaster.
Yeah. Did that come out during court?
It's painful to talk about.
Oh gosh.
But that was tough.
Yeah.
So when you put your heart and soul, or your law partner puts your heart and soul into a case for 1 to 2 years or longer, you went to trial quickly.
That's one that haunts you. Yeah.
Haunts. So
I can't even imagine. I cringe just thinking about what that conversation would look like with a client. That would be a hard one to have. I mean,
that's an example where you put your blood, sweat, and tears into a case and it backfires, you lose, and you lose a shit ton of money. Yeah. Other example, the other way to answer that question is you sign a really good case and then some other firm steals it. Happens once in a while. I mean, it's a competitive market. Yeah. Sign a client, or actually I had a case in December. Client wanted to fire her lawyer, hired us, and then somehow got scared into staying with law firm one. It was a great case. That was, there's little disappointing losses like that. It happens. Yeah.
Missed opportunity versus, I think the first one definitely, that's gut wrenching just to hear about it secondhand.
And the losses result in, like, we're talking 6-figure losses, like big losses.
We're going to have to make these questions harder for next time. But my final one is,
I thought we were going to get like challenging, embarrassing questions.
See, I thought the law school one and the PI law firm in Florida one would get you, but you found a way around it. Answered it, but didn't fully answer it, but good enough. So our last one is, what's the wildest excuse a client has given for getting injured and you still took the case?
There's definitely a good answer to this question. Yeah. Because I'm actually, I'd have to dive deep for this.
That's totally fair.
I'd take the fifth.
Yeah, plead the fifth. Take a sip and plead the fifth.
Actually, we were just here. Actually, a client signed, which we're going to end up dropping the case. But this was a recent case. Client was walking. Do you know what Vizcaya Museum is in Miami? It's like a landmark.
I haven't been, no.
It's 100 years old.
Wow.
A very wealthy family lived there, and now it's a museum. And a woman's walking through the museum, and she gets scared by a big iguana. She kind of runs out of the way, but she trips and falls into a fountain, breaks her arm. Stop. This just came in. We're kind of wondering, like, is this the case? First off, the answer is no, because the museum is ran by the government. So there's caps on damages. So that's the first reason we can't do it. But is there even liability? And we're playing with this one. Yeah. Like, are there too many iguanas? How are we gonna
are the iguanas too scary? Like,
so like this place is like just a place like Jurassic Park. Yeah. Is there so we were kicking around dumb ideas, but we have to turn this case down, because when you look at the photos and you hear the facts, it's just not going to be a case. And this happens all the time. Yeah. I don't think I really answered your question. There's a lot more cases I could dig through.
But honestly, that was a great story. So I think that's a good way to end the podcast.
Like, can we build a case around this iguana being at fault? Who's at fault here? But when you look at the fountain, there's no water in it. It's old, but it's supposed to be old. The place is a museum. Yeah. Should there be barriers there? Should there be warning signs? So we start to play with all these theories of liability. And then ultimately it's like, well, there's caps on damages anyway. Yeah. We're done. And then we don't even think there's going to be liability on a case like this.
I can't even imagine how you would go about trying to prove as well, like, liability in terms of having iguanas, there being too much or too scary.
Let's say it was a private establishment with insurance, at least $1 million of insurance, and there were prior incidents involving the iguanas. Then I think we're on to something.
Yes. But if there wasn't, would you take it still?
It's tough.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It's a tough one. I do know lawyers. There are lawyers in Florida I think would take this case. Yeah. And I know even a seasoned practitioner I think would play with it if it were private. But I think you would blame it on the fountain, and maybe there's no barriers.
The lack of barriers,
There's something to be done there separate from
the iguana.
Separate from the iguana. Yeah. I don't think that's probably a losing one.
Yeah, that's not the focus.
They're all over Florida, by the way.
That's hilarious. I actually am a little bit freaked out by iguanas, so that could have been me. Who knows?
It's a husband and wife. They come to Florida. They're from California. She got freaked out by this dinosaur.
That's crazy. Well, thank you so much for being on the Live Laugh Lawsuit podcast today. You were a great guest, and I'm just sad I couldn't get you to plead the fifth.
Than's for having me. Next time you're going to have to answer, you're going to have to
harder hitting questions.
You have to bring some more embarrassing questions, I think.
Yeah, I have to go into prosecutor mode, I think. Thank you.
Thanks.